I've never been good at being alone. After my wife left, I told everyone I just needed some time by the lake. I packed up a few things, loaded my fishing gear into the truck, and drove north to my family's cabin near Stillwater Lake, a quiet, half-forgotten place tucked behind a wall of pine and fog. It was supposed to help me think, to clear my head. But that lake didn't make me calm. It made me listen. The first few days were quiet enough. I kept busy, chopping wood, cleaning the old place, patching a few leaks in the dock. The cabin hadn't been used in years, and everything smelled faintly of dust and mildew. Stillwater Lake earned its name. It was unbelievably still and a perfect mirror for the sky. You could drop a pebble and watch ripples stretch out for what felt like miles. No boats, no people, no noise. The first night I sat on the end of the dock with a beer and my rod, watching the last light bleed from the sky. The silence was so thick it pressed against my ears. For a moment it felt like the world had stopped moving. Then came the ripple, a faint circular motion on the surface about 20 feet out. Too slow for a fish, too large for debris. I watched it fade, then return again right in the same spot. I told myself it was just a current, except lakes don't really have currents. When I cast my line near it, the rippling stopped instantly, like whatever was out there knew I was watching. The next morning I found wet footprints on the dock. Small, barefoot prints. They started right at the edge of the water and ended halfway to the cabin, where they just stopped. The wood was dry all around them. No splashes, no drag marks, no sign someone had come or gone by boat. I crouched down to look closer, and I swear I felt the dock shift slightly beneath me. A faint vibration, like something deep below had brushed against it. I didn't tell anyone. Who was I supposed to tell? Hey, the lake's making footprints? So I kept fishing. Every time I dropped my line, though, the same ripple appeared, always in the same spot. I tried ignoring it, but after 3 days, it was all I could think about. By the 5th night, I wasn't sleeping much. The woods were too quiet. The house creaked like something was walking in the attic. Sometimes I'd wake to the sound of faint dripping, even though there was no leak. Then, one night I heard a splash. It was around 2 a.m. I'd fallen asleep on the couch with the lantern still burning. The sound came again, splash, splash. Deliberate, slow, like someone wading through the shallows. I looked out the window. The lake glowed faintly under the moonlight, perfectly calm, except for those ripples. Circling near the dock, they were bigger this time. I stood there, hand on the window frame, heart thudding, and that's when I heard it. A voice. Faint. Muffled like someone talking underwater. A single word carried through the stillness. Come. I stumbled back, knocked over my lantern, and the light went out. The next few seconds were pure silence, thick and suffocating. Then came 3 soft knocks on the door, not frantic, not random. 3 slow, deliberate knocks. I didn't open it. Couldn't. I sat there until dawn, shaking, clutching a kitchen knife like an idiot. When morning came, there were no footprints. No signs of anyone outside, just the lake, perfectly still again. That day, I decided I'd had enough. I started packing to leave. But as I was loading up the truck, I noticed something. The ripple was still there, even though the air was calm, and nothing had touched the water in hours. That same circle widening and fading, over and over again. I walked back to the dock, leaning down. What do you want? I said out loud. The water went still. Then a single bubble rose to the surface. It popped. And I heard the voice again, closer this time. Stay. I fell backward onto the dock. The word echoed in my head, low and wet, like it came from deep beneath the surface. I didn't go near the water again that day, but that night I dreamt of ripples spreading outward forever, forming patterns that looked almost like faces, faces that were smiling. Over the next few days, things started happening inside the cabin. Small things at first. The faucet dripping even when it was tightly shut. The faint sound of lapping water coming from under the floorboards. Once I found the kitchen sink full, though I hadn't turned it on. The drain was clogged with what looked like lake weeds, and always that sound. Drip, 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 perfectly timed, like the rhythm of something breathing. I tried the radio, static. My phone had no service. Even the old wall clock had stopped ticking. It was like the whole world had slowed down to match the lake's pulse. By the 10th day, I wasn't sure what was real anymore. I started hearing things under the dock when I walked out there. Faint knocks, then scratching. Sometimes whispering just below the surface. Once I thought I saw a face in the water, pale, almost featureless, watching me. When I blinked, it was gone. I tried to record it with my phone, but the footage came out blank. Just white static where the lake should have been. That was the breaking point. I decided to leave that night, but the lake didn't let me. When I turned the ignition in my truck, the engine sputtered and died. I tried again, nothing. Then I saw it through the windshield. Ripples, forming in the puddles on the ground, not even connected to the lake. I stepped out, terrified, and looked toward the dock. The entire surface of the water was rippling violently, but there was no wind. And then I saw someone standing at the edge. At first I thought it was a reflection, but it wasn't. It was a man. He looked just like me, same build, same jacket, same face. He was standing perfectly still, staring out at the lake. And when I called out, he turned his head slowly and smiled. Then he stepped forward, right into the water. He didn't splash, didn't sink. He just walked beneath the surface like it was air, until he disappeared. The ripples that followed him spread out and touched the shore. And when they did, I felt something move beneath my feet. The ground pulsed like a heartbeat. The air felt heavy, wet, like I was standing underwater. I ran. I don't even remember making the decision. My body just took over. I ran into the cabin, locked the door, and pressed myself against the wall, shaking. Outside, the rippling never stopped. It got louder, faster, almost like laughter. Then came the knocking again. 3 slow knocks, right beneath the floor. I spent the rest of that night in the corner of the room, clutching my head, whispering to myself just to drown out the sounds. I could hear water sloshing inside the walls, dripping from the ceiling, echoing from the pipes, as if the whole cabin was filling up. But when dawn came, everything was dry. I stepped outside, blinking against the sunlight. The lake looked calm again, still, beautiful even. I almost believed I'd imagined everything. Then I noticed the dock. There were 2 sets of footprints now, both barefoot. Both leading toward the cabin, and both identical. Mine I left that morning. I didn't pack anything. Just drove until the lake was a distant thought in my rearview mirror. I've tried to move on since. But at night I still hear it sometimes. The faint sound of water moving in circles. Once, I even saw ripples in my bathtub. And every time I close my eyes, I can still see him, that version of me standing on the dock, smiling as he walks into the water. Sometimes, I wonder if I ever really left, because when I touch my reflection now, it ripples back. I've always believed fishing teaches patience. But after what happened last fall, I know it also teaches madness. There's something about staring into still water for hours that starts to peel at your sanity, especially when you've been staring too long. I used to fish every weekend with my brother. Kevin, he was the serious one. The kind who tied his own flies, cleaned his reels after every trip, measured the line weight like it mattered to his soul. I used to tease him for it. Then last year, he disappeared. It happened out on the lake near our old family cabin, same spot we'd been fishing since we were kids. I wasn't there that day. He went alone. The sheriff found his boat drifting near the center, motor still running, rod bent like something massive was pulling it down. His hat was still on the seat, but no sign of him. They said he probably fell overboard, got tangled in his line, drowned. Except Kevin was the strongest swimmer I knew. And the weirdest part? When they reeled in his line, the hook was gone, but the line itself hadn't snapped. It just ended, clean, like something had bitten through it, or pulled it straight out of existence. A month later, I went back. I told people it was to find closure. But honestly, it was because I couldn't stop thinking about that line, that perfect cut. It didn't make sense. The cabin was still dusty and empty, the same way we'd left it. Kevin's spare rods were lined up on the wall, his tackle boxes stacked neatly beside them. He was organized, meticulous. That was what made it worse. There was no way he'd been careless. The boat was there too, tied up to the dock. I ran my hand along the railing, feeling the grooves where he used to set his elbow. I could almost hear him humming that stupid tune he always sang when the fish weren't biting. I told myself I'd fish one last time, just to say goodbye. The lake was still that morning. Gray sky, faint mist hovering just above the surface. I launched the boat, set up my rod, and drifted toward the center, the same place they'd found his. I dropped my line and waited. Hours passed. Nothing. Then, just as I was about to reel in, I felt a tug. It wasn't like a fish bite. It was slow, heavy, deliberate. The line tightened, then went still. I pulled, expecting resistance. But instead of feeling weight, I felt pressure, like something pulling back with perfect synchronization. I thought maybe I'd snagged on debris. But when I jerked the rod, the line pulsed, a single, rhythmic tug-tug, exactly how Kevin used to signal when he'd caught something. I froze. Then it came again. Tug-tug, I whispered, "Kevin?" without thinking. The lake answered with a faint ripple that spread out from my boat. I started reeling, heart pounding. The line went taut, thrumming like a living thing. And then I heard something, faint, but real. A voice, bubbling through the water. It was calling my name. I leaned over the edge. The water was dark, but I swear I saw something pale moving beneath me, like a hand. That's when the line jerked so hard it nearly ripped the rod from my grip. I fell forward, slamming my shoulder into the edge of the boat. The reel screamed, line spinning fast enough to smoke. I grabbed it with both hands, bracing my feet, shouting Kevin's name again and again. Then the line went slack. I sat there shaking, staring into the water. Nothing. Just my own ragged breathing and the gentle rocking of the boat. I reeled in, expecting to see the hook empty again, but the hook was gone. So was the line. It didn't snap. It ended, clean, just like his. I don't remember rowing back to shore. I just remember sitting on the dock afterward, staring at the rod. The cut was perfect, smooth like glass. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the water moving, slow circles spreading outward. Like breath under ice, then, sometime after midnight, I heard the sound of line unraveling, a soft, steady whir, like a fishing reel turning on its own. I got up and followed it outside. The sound came from the dock. Kevin's rod was propped up there, line dangling loosely into the black water. The reel was spinning slowly, unwinding itself even though there was no tension. I picked it up, half angry, half terrified. The spool was almost empty, and then it stopped. A faint ripple appeared near the end of the dock, and I swear I saw a face under the surface. Not Kevin's. Mine. It looked up, grinning before the water went still again. The next morning, I told myself I'd imagined it. Lack of sleep, grief, guilt. I was unraveling just like the line, but the reel was still empty. Every inch of line was gone. I decided to check the boat, maybe row out to clear my head. But when I got there, I froze. There was a wet handprint on the side of the hull. Just one, large, pale, and freshly pressed. I don't know what made me do it. But I grabbed another reel, tied a new line, and cast it right where the handprint pointed, into the middle of the lake. For a while, nothing happened. Then the line started moving. Slowly, gently, in a perfect circle. Reeling itself around the boat, it was looping, tying something. When I tried to reel it back, it wouldn't budge. I leaned over and saw the line stretched tight, forming a pattern across the surface, spiraling inward, knotting on its own. Then I realized something, the shape it was. Forming was familiar. It was the same pattern of ripples I'd seen the night before. That's when the whispering began, not words at first, just faint murmurs rising from below, blending with the sound of the water slapping the hull. Then, clear as day, I heard my brother's voice. "Don't pull," I froze. It was his tone, quiet, calm, the way he used to say it when I'd get impatient. "Kevin?" No answer, just a faint tug on the line, then another whisper. "Not yet." The air felt heavy. I could smell something metallic, like wet rust. I wanted to let go, but I couldn't. My hands wouldn't move. I just stood there holding the rod, waiting. Then something rose beneath the water, a pale, shifting mass that shimmered like skin, and from within it, something extended upward, fingers, 5 of them. I screamed and stumbled back, snapping the line. The sound echoed across the lake like a whip crack. The water went black again, but the whisper didn't stop. That night, I burned Kevin's rods. I thought maybe it would end whatever was happening and break whatever connection had been made. But when I woke up, the smell of smoke still hanging in the cabin. The same reel sat on the table, perfect, unburned. Line coiled neatly around it and scrawled into the wood beneath it. Burned like with a heated hook was a single word: cast. I haven't told anyone what happened after that. I tried leaving, but every road out of that forest leads back to the lake. I've driven for hours only to end up staring at the same foggy shoreline. The reel still follows me. I've tried throwing it into the water, burying it, even smashing it with a hammer. Every morning it's back, sitting neatly by the bed, lying slightly shorter than before. Each night I hear the sound of it turning. Whir, click, over and over. Sometimes I dream I'm sitting in the boat again, lying in the water, Kevin across from me. He doesn't speak anymore, just watches the surface with that empty look. And when I wake up, the sheets are damp. A few weeks ago, I found the end of the line under my pillow. Just the end, cut clean. When I touched it, I heard Kevin's voice again, faint and hollow. He said, "You pulled too soon." The reel spun by itself on the dresser, and I felt something tug inside my chest, like an invisible thread pulling tight around my heart. Now, every night it tugs harder. I think it's trying to reel me in. Sometimes, when I look into the mirror, I see the reflection of water behind me, rippling, endless. And somewhere in it, something is still holding the other end of that line. Whatever it is, it hasn't let go, and neither have I. There's a sound that water makes when it moves under ice, a hollow, groaning hum that vibrates in your chest. Most people find it eerie. I used to find it comforting. That sound meant winter fishing season was back. But now when I hear it, I think of that day. The day the lake decided to remember me. I've lived most of my life near that lake, Callaway Lake up in the North Woods. My dad took me ice fishing there when I was 9, and it became our thing every winter. We'd set up the little tent, drill our holes, sit on overturned buckets, and wait. It wasn't about catching anything. It was about silence, the kind that stretches between you and another person when words aren't needed. Dad died out there when I was 17. They called it a heart attack. Said the cold probably got to him. I was only a few feet away, but I didn't see it happen. One second he was laughing, telling me to check my line, and the next, he was gone. I remember his body on the ice, steam rising from his coat, the hole beside him still bubbling gently. I remember the way the line dipped slightly, like something tugged it from below even as the medics took him away. After that, I stopped fishing until last winter. It had been almost 20 years. I don't even know what pulled me back. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe it was the dream. I'd been having the same one for weeks. The sound of something tapping beneath ice, faintly rhythmic, like knuckles against glass. In the dream, I'd kneel down, press my ear to the frozen surface, and hear my father's voice whispering from below, still waiting. When I woke, I always had the same feeling, that he was still there, right where he fell, sitting beneath the ice, fishing alone. So one morning in late January, I packed my gear and drove north. The lake hadn't changed. The trees stood motionless, heavy with snow. The wind was sharp and silent, and the ice shimmered like a mirror. I set up near the old spot, same distance from shore, same alignment with the birch trees. Everything felt familiar, almost too familiar. As I drilled my first hole, I could hear faint echoes through the ice, like the sound of distant knocks. I told myself it was the auger. Once the hole was open, I dropped the line. The sound of the lure plopping into the dark water sent a chill up my spine. For the first hour, nothing happened. I sat in the tent, listening to the wind brush against the fabric, the occasional creak of ice shifting. Then out of nowhere, my line went taut. It wasn't a strong pull, just a slow, deliberate tension, like someone gently tugging on the other end. I reeled in slightly, half expecting to feel a snag. The tension eased, then returned. A perfect rhythm. Pull, pause, pull, pause. It was exactly the pattern Dad used when he wanted me to look up from my line. I whispered, "Dad?" before I even realized what I was saying. The line twitched once, sharp, almost playful. Then everything went still. I leaned forward, peering into the dark water. It looked bottomless, a vertical tunnel of shifting blue and black. My reflection stared back at me, distorted by the ripples. For a second, I could have sworn there was another face beside mine. The next morning, I went back out. I told myself I'd imagined it, that it was just the way the water moved under ice. But when I reached the tent, I noticed something odd. My line, which I'd left coiled neatly beside the hole, was stretched out, perfectly straight, leading into the dark water, like someone had been fishing while I was gone. I reeled it in slowly. The hook came up empty, but tied around the line, and about a foot from the end was something small and white. I thought it was a feather at first, but when I touched it, I realized it was bone, a human finger bone I should have left. Any rational person would have, but I couldn't, because deep down part of me wanted to believe it was him. That somehow, impossibly, my father had found a way to reach back. That night I slept in the cabin, the same one we used to share. The wind outside made the windows groan, and every so often I'd hear faint tapping on the glass, soft, patient. When I looked, no one was there. At some point, I must have drifted off. I dreamed of the hole in the ice again, the dark water bubbling, and a faint light flickering far below. A voice whispered up through the darkness. Still waiting. I woke to find the line moving. It wasn't in my dream anymore. The fishing rod leaned against the wall, reel turning slowly. The line stretched out the door toward the frozen lake. Something was pulling from outside. I followed it barefoot through the snow, the cold biting into my skin. The moon hung low, spilling blue light across the ice. The line disappeared into a fresh hole near the shore, one I hadn't drilled. As I stared into it, I realized there were two reflections in the water, mine and his. Dad was looking up at me, pale, smiling faintly, eyes clouded like he'd been underwater too long. "Come back," he whispered. Then his hand reached up from the hole. I screamed and stumbled backward. The ice cracked beneath me, splintering outward. The line went taut, jerking around my wrist. "Let go," I shouted. But the reel was still spinning, the line cutting deeper into my skin. Then it stopped, and from below, a muffled voice said, "You never did." I woke at dawn, sprawled on the ice. My wrist was bleeding and deep grooves carved into the flesh. The line lay coiled beside me, severed clean. The hole was gone, no sign of the one from the night before. I stumbled back to the cabin, shaking and half delirious. Inside, everything smelled dampest, like lake water. My boots were soaked, though I didn't remember falling in. I told myself I'd imagined it, that it was grief, guilt, something in my head. But when I opened my tackle box, the truth hit me. Inside, buried beneath the lures, was his wedding ring. The following days blurred together. I tried leaving, but the truck wouldn't start. The radio only played static. The air outside felt thick, like breathing underwater. Each night the same sound came again, tapping on the windows, slow and steady. Once I pressed my ear against the glass and heard it clearer. Not knocking, reeling, like a fishing line turning endlessly beneath the ice. I began hearing whispers too, faint at first, then louder. They came from under the floor, inside the pipes, even through the walls. "Still waiting," they said, over and over, until one night I snapped. I grabbed the lantern and went back to the lake. The air was bitter, the wind sharp, the ice was glowing faintly, an unnatural, milky blue light pulsing beneath it. I dropped to my knees and stared through. The light wasn't random. It was moving, swirling, forming shapes. Faces, dozens of them, men, women, children, all looking up, eyes open, mouths moving in silence. And among them I saw my father, his face calm, almost proud. He raised his hand and pointed upward, at me. Then the ice cracked. Water gushed through, freezing my hands instantly. I tried to crawl back, but something grabbed my ankle. It wasn't cold, it felt familiar. Strong, a father's grip. I screamed, clawed at the surface, and finally tore free, dragging myself across the snow. I didn't stop running until I reached the cabin. When I slammed the door behind me, I realized I was still holding something, the line, soaked and frozen, wrapped around my wrist again. It pulsed, faintly, rhythmically, like a heartbeat. That was 2 months ago. I made it back home eventually, I think. My memories are a blur, but sometimes late at night I still hear it. That faint groaning hum of water moving beneath ice, and lately, there's another sound layered beneath it. Something rhythmic, like reeling. When I check the sink, the bathtub, even puddles on the floor, I see faint ripples spreading outward, perfectly circular and sometimes just beneath the surface. I see him sitting there patiently, still waiting. Last night, I found my old fishing rod leaning against the wall. The line was already cast and stretching across the floor. Leading into the bathroom, the reel spun slowly, the sound soft but constant. I followed it. The line led straight into the tub. The drain filled with dark water. As I watched, the water began to move. Forming ripples, I bent closer, whispering, "Dad?" The water went still. Then a voice rose up, calm and distant, echoing from somewhere deep below. "You remember now?" And I did. I remembered standing over the ice that day, his voice calling my name, his hand reaching up, and how I stepped back, how I let him fall. I'm not sure what's real anymore. Sometimes I wake up and there's frost on the floorboards. Sometimes the air smells like pine and lake water. But what scares me most is the sound, that faint hum of reeling that never stops. Because I think the line's still connected and sooner or later I'll be the one pulled under.